which is, you know, one of my all-time fave things. Fave things to talk about because I'm pretty fucking good at it, and I'll show you my evidence, I guess. Kind of, maybe, not sure, but either way, I think we all like these videos because psychologically we all want to control a grip on life, and we don't really have one, but I guess manifestation is a way of having one, and so that's why everyone likes it. So yeah, that's the tea. Also, I'm here because I was gonna sit in my usual space, my blue sofa space, but I wanted a change in where we sat. So today is basically me listing a bunch of ways to manifest, but they're like, not all of them are like completely spoken about, I guess. I think a lot of people obviously go straight to, you know, writing what they want down, you know, and then like coming back to it, and then, you know, months later or something, or making wishes and asking their guides or whoever they believe in, and vision boards, and I even made one on like Pinterest vision boards. So, you know, that's the usual go-to, which is perfectly fine and great. But I found that as a beginner those things were great, but the more in depth you get into spirituality and understanding the laws of the universe, there are 12. We will go into that for a little bit in a sec. You start to complicate it in your mind. You start to understand so much that you go, but how is this possible? And I think it kind of fucks up the beginner's mentality of, oh, anything's possible, you know? So I found, I mean, I've been manifesting for years, but I'd say the past 2 years I've been like on top of my game, I'd say, and like, that's because I've been doing it less subconsciously and more consciously. And so I want to talk about the little ways that I've found work for me. They're really easy, simple things, most of them. So I think what I'll explain first is like the laws of the universe. So there are 12 laws of the universe, and the one that everyone knows is the law of attraction. So it's this idea that you raise your vibration to whatever you want, and that way you attract it. And to a beginner that sounds so easy, like this idea that, you know, if you want something so much that you become the same vibration, you'll get it, kind of thing, right? That it sounds easy. The less and less beginner you become, the harder and complicated these things seem and feel, because you understand the other laws. I won't get into all the other laws apart from one, because in my opinion, the law of attraction doesn't always work, in the sense that if you're very low, depressed, anxious, you could, it's what a lot of spiritualists like to call a state of lack mentality, I guess. And then it kind of screws up this whole idea of like, oh, I'm at a low vibration because I'm mentally ill, so I'm not going to attract anything good. It's very fucked up in that way. So this is why I prefer to use the law of assumption. Technically, this is at the moment my biggest way of manifesting, and it goes for both ways. It goes for both good and bad. But the law of assumption is basically, the more you assume something is going to happen, the more likely it's going to happen. And I can assure you that this works, both good and bad. For example, me and my twin flame, most of you should know that term, we've been on really great terms, and I felt like, oh, this is too good to be true. I assume we're gonna have a fight. And I didn't say it that way, but my mind was like saying that kind of like intrusively, I guess, but it kept repeating, and I kept giving it power, I guess. And we had a fight. But I have a contrasting assumption, which is we will always bounce back. And that's because we always have, and we did. The fight didn't even last an hour. So it's like, it works for both good and bad. This idea that things like intrusive thoughts, they don't manifest. I think it's more so the more power you give to negative thoughts, like consciously, the more likely it is to manifest. You know, like the saying, if you tell yourself you can or can't do it, you're right. So even if you say you can't do something, you're right, because that's negative and you're telling yourself consciously, I cannot do this. It's the same for absolutely everything. The thing about the law of assumption is that a lot of spiritualists like to tell you, don't have expectations, you know, get rid of all of that, get rid of control, get rid of... It's not about expectations, and it's not even about outcome. I think it's more so this idea that I'm assuming things will go right, or things will go well, if that makes sense. Instead of, I want it to happen this way, this way, this way, which is what law of attraction has become, I guess. So I'm freer with it anyway. I'm freer with law of assumption, because in my head I can go, I assume that this is going to happen. And even if you don't believe, or you don't actually assume that that's going to happen, the more you repeat that to yourself, the more likely you are actually going to start believing, oh, I assume this is going to happen. That's my number one big thing on how I'm manifesting at the moment. Works with big and small things. This is definitely like most people should know this one, as in, if you don't use it, use it. My second thing, I want to say that this is very small, but it does work. And I think I mentioned it in a previous video at the very end. Tea. So this mug is from my twin flame, and if you're not familiar with twin flame connections, they can be very rocky, very up and down, and very intense. But I use this mug, I drink from this mug, and I manifest with this mug. You know, like a lot of stability for us, a lot of calmness, a lot of things like that. Reunion, union, things like that. But you can use tea magic, which is what it's called, I believe, in it for anything. So you just get a mug that you like using or you want to use, and as you make your tea and as you stir it and as you sip from it, you kind of repeat, as I do this, this is what's happening. As I do this, this is what's happening. So for me, as I do this, like our relationship is more stable, that kind of thing, right? It does work, and I think it also fills you with a sense of, oh, I just put like good energy towards the thing I want, kind of, you know. And so that helps your vibration as well, I guess. So that's a small number two that I wanted to share with you. A big one that I wanted to go into is I actually manifest with my dreams, and I do think that this will link to crystals and intentions. So it's like 3 in 1 that I'm gonna talk about real quick. So for the past, I'd say month almost, I have been jotting down all my dreams, and I've been doing my research on dreams for a while now and what they mean, and you know, all these symbols and stuff. And I've been finding these messages through my dreams, and they're very accurate, and it's very scary how accurate it is. And it's like a deep dive into your subconscious brain. It's like, oh my god, because you can't see or hear your subconscious brain the way you can with your conscious brain, which is like all your thoughts. Your unconscious / subconscious brain is very in the dark, I guess, and so when you're asleep and that comes alive, it's like looking into different parts of you, and for me it's shown me a lot of my anxieties, a lot of my fears, and it's also shown me, you know, messages I believe from my guides, like telling me what to do, what this means, what that means. And for example, I've had a couple arguments with some friends of mine, not very close, but you know, like we're friends, and last night I had a dream about flies, and it wasn't like I was being pestered by the flies, but I know that flies in dreams mean that that they represent like annoying people that could get in the way of things. And I don't want to call my friends that, but I feel like it was a dream saying, you know, like, this is an annoying situation and you kind of need to get rid of this situation and these bad things happening because it's just going to affect you negatively. So I think, I do dream interpretations as a part of my services if you want to get one. I pride myself of being a good dream interpreter. I love dream interpreting. I've always been very good at it. Dreams are like big metaphors, and I'm a writer, so it's like my forte, I guess. But what I wanted to get into with crystals and intentions with this was, more recently with my dreams, I've been setting intentions before I sleep, which has been so magical and crazy. What it does is whatever you set the intention for, you kind of dream about it. So I will set the intention, you know, if I'm having an issue, like what is the answer to this issue, what do I do? I'll sleep and I'll have like a really crazy random dream. They're never usually that direct, I'll be honest, hence them being large metaphors. But I'll wake up, I'll jot down all the things I saw image wise or what was said or what happened. I'll go to my book of research and, you know, all the things I've noted and down, and do some more research, and I'll piece it together and I'll be like, bingo, there's my answer. And it's very clear. Like the dream will be insane. It will be like, I don't know, literally going to like Pizza Hut in the middle of nowhere or something, and it will have like a massive like do this, don't do this kind of thing. It's very insane, but it does help. And you can even set the intention to have a very direct dream. I do love a good direct dream. I've had loads of direct dreams, you know, when like, especially of my twin, we'll kind of visit each other in the 5D, and like when we were in separation, I would like put down all the things he'd say to me in my dreams, and then I'd tell him when we were out of separation, and he was like, well, yeah, that's true. And that is what I wanted to say to you. So, you know, direct dreams are great, but most of them will be largely confusing and metaphors, but they still hold a lot of answers. And I use this to manifest because I think it guides me in my manifestations, and I think it also confirms my manifestations. And so I hold a lot of belief in my dreams, because the subconscious and unconscious is, you know, what holds the manifestation. So if I'm seeing all my anxieties, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm manifesting my anxieties. It's time to sort that out, and sort that out within myself, in me. What can I do to get rid of these anxieties that they don't manifest? It kind of sets you on the right path in a way. And the second thing about it that I wanted to talk about was the crystals. Thank you to my friend Hambanan. Yeah, I call her Hambanan. Leave me alone, that's my nickname for her. She told me about Moonstone a long time ago. I always had Moonstone, but I never really knew what to do with it. And then she was like, it's an insane crystal and you need to like use it because it will do so much for you. So the best thing that I do with it is I kind of hold it in my palm, shut my eyes, set my intention with it, put it under my pillow and sleep. It creates very vivid, clear dreams, and it will like show you a lot of things. Again, it will give you clear answers and stuff like that. I wouldn't use it as a beginner because it is very intense. Like it causes a lot of emotions, and you'll just see things even if you don't ask to see those specific things. And depending on what you need to see, it could be very good, very bad. But for me, I just love using crystals. I love having protection crystals by my bed when I sleep because I hate nightmares and they really affect me when I wake up. And I love my cherry stone, which is an anxiety stone. I don't want to take anxiety with me to bed. You know, just like loads of good stones and crystals by me when I sleep is really like healthy for my mind and my manifestations as well. So that's another long one. The fourth one I want to get into, which everyone kind of knows about, is candles. I love to use, at the moment, it's a new thing, candles that are actually made with specific intentions. So there's loads of like little spiritual shops in London that I like to go to and visit. I don't know if you guys will like have them, but I'm sure you can find similar things online. But recently I bought candles with intentions. So there is like healing a heart chakra, healing the crown chakra, love candle, or you know, money candle, things like that. I bought loads. And I've recently only lit the heart chakra one, and I feel like love in my life has just been so much better since. Like I just feel like I can love better as well, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm excited to light the other ones. I've always loved candle magic. I just never really got too deep into it. But whenever it's a full or new moon, I do like to light a candle. I do like to do some releasing or manifesting, and it usually does seem to work. I'm also a Leo stellium, which means most of my chart is under the sign of Leo, and therefore I'm a fire sign, so working with fire is like my element. So I would say manifest with your element. If you are predominantly sign. You know, go manifest with water. You know, set intentions before you drink water, or you know, those kind of things. If you're earth, write letters, put it in the ground. If you're air, I mean, people use incense for manifesting. Like, there are just so many things, and they were awful examples, but if you look it up, there are just so many ways for all elements to manifest. So yeah, that's like a fourth one. I would say another one that is kind of confusing, I guess, to explain it this way, is healing. And I know that that sounds so long and boring and hard, and how does it help manifest? I do think that this pertains to the ideology of law of attraction. You know, the more you heal, the better you feel, and I just spat bars, and therefore you kind of attract better things. It is true that the better you feel, the nicer you are, the kinder you are to yourself, to other people, the better the things you get in that sense, the more positive you are, the better mindset you have. So yeah, I think just healing is a long journey and it's hard, but I think the more you pertain to yourself, the more that you turn to yourself, and the more that you trust yourself, and the more that you look after yourself, you know, you attract better things. That's just in my opinion. And I also think that people don't often see the good in the things happening around them. Like, I feel like my circle of friends gets smaller and smaller, but my connections with the people that stay in my life get stronger and stronger. And I don't really have an issue with that whatsoever. And I mean, upon like hearing that, it might seem quite cold and heartless, but I don't want anything that isn't good for me around me, even if I love that person, really. So healing is just a great way, because you're technically putting in the work to become a better version of yourself, and therefore putting in the work to get a better life, and that's how you know, attract the good things. Another one I would say is little spells. I'm not big on spells. I'm not big at all on physical spells, by which I mean like herbs and jars and all that at all. Not that I don't like it, I do. If I had the motivation to get into it, I would do it, but I genuinely don't have the motivation to get into it and do it. I'm more so for the light a candle, say a few words, set an intention kind of person, if you haven't been able to tell already. But I went to one of these stores that I love in London, and I was walking past a bookshelf, and on the floor was like this tiny book, literally that big, and it was called the Little Book of Witchy Spells or something, and it just called to me, and I was like, this is gonna make me be not lazy. I'm gonna have issues because I like being lazy, but I picked it up and I was like, watch this just be like all herbs and stuff. And it wasn't. It was genuinely little tips, you know, like do this before you sleep, do this before you drink tea. It was just tiny little things that I don't even like consider as spells, but they were like spiritual tips, I guess, on how to manifest. And oh, it's so cute, and I bought it and I love it. And I did little spells. There's some writing ones, there's some like things with strings, there's some tea ones, there's some stuff with crystals, stuff before you sleep. There is a few herb ones, there's a few writing ones. It's just full of everything, and I just find it really cute. So in my opinion, if you feel drawn to do certain spells, or you find certain spells and you're like, oh, this just literally came out of nowhere, I'm gonna attempt this, then do it. I think as long as you're not harming anyone in the process, go ahead, float whatever fucking boat you want to float, you know. This is one of my biggest ones at the moment as well. Another longish one, sorry. So there is a YouTuber called Life by Lucy. I came across Lucy literally like a year ago. Didn't subscribe, I just found one video, I think it was on scripting, and I knew about scripting, and I did scripting. One scripting thing I did last year worked so scarily quickly. I was blindsided, like I felt punched when it happened. And it was a big thing, and I was like, oh my god, it works. But I feel like every other time I've tried to script it hasn't really worked. So I I kind of pushed it aside. But recently I've been like, I kind of want to try it again. I love writing, and I do believe that writing helps manifest big time. So I was like, I remember Lucy, so I'm gonna type in Lucy's video, you know, her channel, and I found her recent video, and I was like, wait, this came up on my feed like 2 days ago. So I was like, that's a sign. I'm just gonna watch this one. I think it was her most recent one at the time. And I watched it, and she went into depth about how she scripts, and it's not the normal way people script. Usually people tell you, write down everything you want as if it has happened, as if you're writing about, you know, a journal. You're journaling about what has just happened, and you're expressing your emotions and whatever, and then you leave it. This one was a bit more specific, simple, and I liked that, and I tried it. So she basically writes to someone, so it can be to anyone, it can be to your guides, it can be to whoever you believe in, it can be to, she did it to Abraham Hicks because they helped her with like believing in manifestation, and like they gave her the scripting ideas, I guess. So you can do it to anyone, alive, dead, it really doesn't matter. It's just to whoever you feel is gonna hear you, I guess, if you put it that way. Then you write about, she says 4 to 5 things, literally a sentence, this happened, and then you write about how it will make you feel, and it made me so happy, and this, that, and the other. Write those few lines down, then you write thank you, you know, to thank you at the end. And she also gave a little like affirmation. I think it's something along the lines of, I choose to, I can't remember it, but it was very powerful. I choose to like get rid of like limiting beliefs, and I allow myself to have everything I want. And I say that 3 times every morning now. And yeah, and then that's it. And it's not even like a page long. But I swear to you, I did this like just over a week ago. I swear to you, the things that I wrote down are already kind of becoming true. And she does say visit it in 6 months. Like, you know, you read it every morning and then like see like what happened for like 30 days, and then come back to it in 6 months and see like where you are. And one of them, I will share one of mine. One of them is getting over my fear of needles. I want to get vaccinated. I'm allowed to get vaccinated. By this time this is out, maybe I am, because I'm a few weeks ahead on content. But I have a scary reaction to needles. Like, seeing a needle, I flinch, I look away, I feel sick. But having a needle near me, I quite literally pass out and throw up at the same time. Which happened to me the last time I was near a needle, which was in December. I quite literally threw up and passed out at the exact same time. So that was a very fun experience. And for me, I know I will be around medical, like people in the profession, so it's the best place to like pass out and throw up, but I don't want to be a burden to them because it's a quick in and out kind of thing for most people. You know, the vaccinations, and I have like this fear around it. But I also want to get tattoos, and I also want to get more piercings. And I remember when I got these piercing when I was very young, and I didn't even comprehend what piercing, like needles were, to be honest with you. But my nose piercing, I remember I was like, I need to get it, I want to go get it, and I went and got it. And then as soon as the guy put the needle in my nose, I said, wait, I don't want to do this. Too late, he'd already done it. Plus my sister was holding my hand the whole way through. But he did it before I could say anything. And I was okay with it because I didn't realize he had done it. People usually say look away, that doesn't really help for me. But actually, I'm supposed to get piercings today or tomorrow. My second ear ones. And I want to get 9 more piercings, and those will be 2 of my 9. If I can get these piercings done with no fear, I should be okay to get like the vaccination and tattoos without throwing up and passing out. But the fact that I'm gonna go get these piercings is like that manifestation coming true, like me controlling that manifestation coming true. So that's another one that I really wanted to add. Another one that most people do talk about, but I do think, you know, when I heard it myself years ago, I was like, you know, can't be asked, don't have the energy. It's meditation. So meditation is a brilliant way to manifest.